Good evening, everyone. I'm Katie McManus, business strategist and leadership coach, and I have the honor of being here with Adam Kimmel this evening, who is a brilliant technical copywriter who has a mission to save the world. And I say that, and it sounds like a big, lofty goal, but it's actually part of his mission. Adam, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Oh, thanks so much. It's great to be on.
Oh my gosh. And I love what you offer your clients first and foremost, but I also I am so impressed. I think there are so many of us who want to go out and save the world and have a huge impact, and we get hung up on like, well, what can I do? And
Yeah.
I so admire that you know your part, and you know exactly what you can do. So I definitely want to talk about that, but please tell me first about your business.
Yeah, so I don't know, from a young age, even in high school, I really liked math and science, but at the same time, I really enjoyed writing. And so I kind of had these two parallel streams going. And I was sort of like, well, how can I, once I graduated and things, like, well, how can I merge them? How can I make them together? And I thought, well, one of the things I always heard was a strength was, well, you can explain things that are kind of confusing and complicated in ways that a lot of people don't understand. And I thought, well, okay, well, that's something. I think there might be, others that may need that. And everybody I told about it was like, holy cow, like, yes, we need more of that because people don't understand, the hard stuff. And so I thought, well, let's do it. And so I thought, well, what are the 5 or 6 areas that I know about or are interested to learn? And then, I'll just start writing about them and explaining these topics to as many different people as want to hear it. And so it's been a fun ride. And I've learned a ton. Like, you kind of start with the stuff you know the best, and someone goes, well, if you know that, could you do this? And so you kind of stretch and expand and extend. And it's been really, I'm kind of a natural, curious learner. And it's been like, wow, I discover a new topic and I just immerse myself in it and just kind of go for that. And so I kind of added tech and, 5G and all of that kind of thing too. And it's been cool to see how all these different industries get to play together. So that's really what it is. It's a business kind of crafted around trying to help people understand really hard but important things.
Right. Well, I want to just pause and say what great learning for anyone watching that you consider your ability to learn fast as one of your business skills. So many people, they think, oh, well, I'm not an expert at it yet, so I can't even go and touch it.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many skills that we don't even realize we have. I mean, oftentimes the skills that it seems like we talk about or we know about aren't really the ones that other people have seen or even value the most. And being able to pick up something really quickly is key. I mean, people just so appreciate that because, when you start working with them, if you can pick it up quickly, you become an asset to them in their business and their journey and kind of a partner in that. And by the end of it, you're as emotionally invested as they are,
Right.
Especially if it's a great idea that they have. It's like, wow, like digging into this, I can see why you're so fired up and why you stand up to talk to me about this. And,
Yeah.
I want to just share that and communicate why it's important for others to get that excited.
Yeah. And so you do this work for companies who are rolling out new products. What is the tendency that they naturally lean towards?
Well, they get really excited about specific products. I mean, they put their whole everything, their resources, their time, their development in launching this product that solves a problem that they know is critical to their clients, their industry, their business. But the problem is they don't realize, for that specific problem, how few people that matters to.
Right.
And why their unique spin is, it's really deep, but niche-y. It doesn't really expand. And so it's kind of a seeing the forest for the trees situation. They can't step back and go, yeah, but some of the learnings that went into this specific solution could be extended and expanded elsewhere, to other industries. And so that's part of it is like, hey, have you thought about, looking at this kind of an application or using it in this way? And a lot of times there's this kind of a light bulb moment, like, wow, we haven't. We were so focused going this direction, we didn't see, the other options here. So they get really entrenched in the details and can't really see the bigger picture.
Right. And I imagine also because they're engineers surrounded by other engineers, they get really sucked into the engineer speak of describing something. And as a sister of someone who is just finishing her engineering degree right now, she's doing her final. I don't understand anything she tells me about her work.
Yeah, and it seems like engineers, when they talk to each other, like those words come out. The syllables get longer, the jargon gets thicker, and it's like, I don't know, they like to talk tech, and it's, I don't know. When I was picking, majors, my dad told me, well, you could be any kind of engineer Penn State offers. And I thought, it's actually not that flexible, is it? Okay, I guess I'm going to be an engineer. But he really believed in, the way that engineers are taught to think. I think it's less the specific subject matter and more the way that they wire your brain to approach and attack a problem. And writing becomes, especially for technical content, it becomes kind of mathematical. And so what I've found is that the engineering mindset and thought process really lends itself to this kind of content, because you can see the journey, the path, and the story, sometimes earlier than others can. And it's kind of due to that way of thinking. And so the tendency is to lay on the jargon, so we have to dial that back and ramp up the story and kind of the path. But I think that way of thinking, though, really lends itself to, deep technical content.
Right. And with the added benefit of you actually understanding all the technical stuff that they're telling you to begin with, so you can figure out a way to create language that people understand that actually clearly represents what they're creating.
Well, yeah, because I don't think anything more deflating than you getting really excited about something you've created or invented, and people giving you a look like, I didn't get any of that. I just don't, I'm not even following the first word you said. And it's like, well, all right, well, what's a test that you could do? Well, explain it to your kids or something. I mean, how do you excite them about, nuclear fission or about, hydrogen fuel cells, right? And it's like, well, what does it mean to them? How do they feel that? And if you can explain it to your 10 or 12-year-old, that's kind of starting to get the first steps of how you unpack this for broad audiences. I mean, some people are allergic to math. Some people just glaze over when this stuff comes out. So it's still important, and they're going to want to know about it eventually. So it's how do you inspire them before it's mainstream?
Right.
I was thinking the other day about how much we know now about tech stuff. I mean, Bluetooth technology and bandwidth and all these different terms and topics that we didn't know before. And it's like, well, if you knew and understood those things before they were launched, you'd have been that much further ahead of things and could have been prepared. So that's really what I'm trying to do too, is some of the newer products and things that are being released, getting in front of it before it's mainstream and explaining and showing why it will be a big thing in the future.
Right. You say that, and I'm thinking back to when I worked for Solar City Tesla, and I was selling solar systems to homeowners, and how much easier my job would be, because no one trusts a salesperson.
Right.
The salesperson tells you how things work, and people like BS. Like, okay, let me look it up myself, and then they get confused, and then you never hear from them again. But if Solar City Tesla had actually gone out and educated the public, created really, really approachable ways for people to understand exactly what they were getting, oh my God, it would have made a huge difference to that industry and to climate change.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for the reader and the even the customer to say, look, I spent however many years it is in industry doing this, and so I know that I kind of understand this topic. Solar energy, how does it work? Okay, we know that we have to store it somewhere and all of that, but what are the constraints and what's the payback like? That's always like a question. And so being able to say, look, I live that and understand that very, very well, and here are some of the things I found, and here was a frustration for me. I mean, there's a kinship there.
Right.
Now you're with them. Now they say, all right, well, you clearly get it.
Right.
One of the clients I was working with was talking about simulation software. So using a computer to solve a really hard calculation. And I was saying, I used that program and ran it for several years. And boy, it just was so clunky in this way and that way. And he sat there and like, wow, how many years did you spend coding? And, kind of probed a little bit more. And then all of a sudden the discussion opened up. Whereas at the beginning he was kind of guarded. So I think there's this, I don't know, there's a letting their guard down a little bit and letting me a little bit further under the tent at some of the nuances of their solution once they realize that I kind of understand what they went through to get there.
Right. The chat is blowing up, by the way. Hi, David Mumford. Great to see you. We'll show your comment. Amy Vanzella, oh my God, thank you. Yes, you have dropped into the best life, obviously. And yeah, let me see, Susan Sanders, it's your superpower. Do you know Susan?
I don't.
Okay, cool. Well, it's obviously obvious that it is your superpower.
Yeah, all right.
And Amy Vanzella, so many people simply do not get this. It is the key to servant leadership, which, oh my gosh, the ability to explain the vision to the people is absolutely a key component of leadership.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think seeing it is the first thing. And, I talk a lot about vision and think about it. And it's something that I think all of us want to cultivate. We want to try to really see things as early as we can. But I don't really think it's something that in my experience, you tend to either have it or you don't. And if you do, great. And if you don't, one of the ways to at least kind of improve it is just to be around people that that do. I mean, when you listen to someone that inspires you, why? And how do they look at things and how might it be different? I mean, a lot of times I'll meet people and they kind of give me a look like, well, you don't talk like, other people. And I'm like, well, that's because I'm an engineer and they teach us social awkwardness in school. That's the first class. It's a prerequisite to graduating. But it is, kind of just stepping back and saying, well, if this, then that, kind of a geometric proof theory. It's like, well, how do you take what I see now and extend that to what it could be? And that's when it's exciting, because when you start collaborating, and that's what it ends up being. Like for my writing clients, we start to really collaborate on their vision for the technology. And then at the end, one of the best parts is, well, how do you want to leave this? I mean, do you want a teaser for what's coming next? And then all of a sudden they won't shut up about, their entire vision. Like, what's the nth degree of where this could be in 5-10 years? And it's just, it's awesome. I mean, they light up talking about this. And I mean, that's, I think, my favorite part is just helping them see where they can go and helping other people kind of share that excitement with them.
Yeah. And translating it in a way that other people understand why they should be excited too.
Yeah, it's the translation piece. It's almost a different language sometimes. I mean, I found this with tech. Like I came into it and it was kind of like I was speaking, Portuguese and they were speaking French. I mean, it was, similar, but not quite. And how do you take what I know and extend it to what I don't? And, but yeah, I mean, once you're able to speak their language and use their terms, I mean, boy, it's, I don't know, it really unlocks a lot for the audience.
Right. And speaking of the audience, we have supporters of the awkward in our audience.
Oh yeah.
They watch my lives. They have to.
Yep. The introverted silent majority. We're everywhere.
Yep. So we've kind of talked about vision. Like, you have this big mission for your life, and you studied hydrogen. You have your PhD in that, correct?
Master's.
Master's. Okay. Well, whatever. Still. Sorry. Okay. Well, she's waking up now. Hi. This is Luna Lovegood.
Hello.
I thought she was just gonna nap in my lap. Anyway, but you have this vision for how we can utilize hydrogen going forward. And in talking about hydrogen, like, I know it's part of a solution for climate change. I have no idea how it works. Like, how would you explain it to me, not having any science background?
So I think when you say hydrogen, most people, especially that know history, go to the Hindenburg, and they're kind of really scared about it. Like it's dangerous, it's flammable. Like we're afraid of this, and it does have a really wide explosivity limit. Between 4% and 94% concentration, it's explosive. So you do kind of have this yikes moment. But one of the things I think that it really allows is it's an energy carrier, not a source necessarily. So, we know that wind energy and solar energy are free. I think most people can see that, and we see that there's, basically an indefinite supply of that. But what you can't plan for is the inconsistencies, because they're natural. What if the wind doesn't blow? What if it's nighttime? What if it's raining? So how do you store the energy from natural sources and use it on demand? And so, batteries is obviously a technology that a lot of people, realize is coming. And with electric vehicles, batteries are becoming more and more prevalent, but they're huge. I mean, if you want to put, enough batteries to store wind energy and then use for distributed power for homes and things, the size of the batteries would be gigantic. So you need some source to store the energy and then be able to send it where you need to when you need to. So, I mean, hydrogen, I think, anybody that's seen a periodic table, it's the first element. It's number one. It's the lightest, smallest. So as a storage vehicle, it's pretty efficient. It can store a lot of energy in a really small space. And it can be converted into different forms, but it's also pretty robust in that, as much hydrogen as you have, that's how much power you have. You don't have to define an amount of it like you would a battery.
Right.
And the best thing of all of it is if you use, the wind and solar energy, carbon isn't really involved. And the best thing about it is that, okay, you take the wind and solar, and then it's used to make hydrogen, which goes into a fuel cell, which outputs water. So if it's kind of cyclic with no carbon at all. So it's and there's a little bit of maybe carbon in some of the transporting and things like that, but it's significantly less. And it's something that, the industry sees a huge light off point coming. When I wrote my thesis, it was kind of a joke. Well, hydrogen's 5 to 10 years away. This was in 2006. 2012, or 5 to 10 more, and hydrogen's going to be everywhere. But it really feels like now, with just the global understanding of the significance of climate change, this is a big problem. President Biden says it's an existential threat, the biggest of our generation and things, and it's it's important. So how do we solve it? And I think hydrogen's time is finally here. It's blowing up in Europe, and I think the U.S. is really poised. So I'm excited. I've been waiting basically my entire career to scream about hydrogen to as many people as will listen. And so I think finally, yeah, it's coming. It's finally here, and it's really exciting.
And I just want to case in point, you're excellent at explaining this. Susan even understood it, and her chem teacher threw an eraser at her. I don't know how big the eraser was. It could have been dangerous. I hope you ducked for cover, Susan, and I'm glad you survived it.
Yeah, I would throw that eraser right back and go, it's a small molecule. It'll just carry the energy. Don't worry about it.
We also have Alexander Page saying we are both in the same mission. All 7.7 million people. Encouragement.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, anybody that shares this, please connect with me, because I whenever Android is allowed on Clubhouse, I just want to hang out and talk about this, and I don't really like to talk at all. I'm an introvert. I want to go under the desk, but I will come out and talk about hydrogen, once Androids can get into Clubhouse. So.
And you're getting some hate from Carol. She says, how can you say French is similar to Portuguese?
Just threw it out there. Of course, it's not similar, but it's geographically similar at least. But I should have said maybe Spanish or something like that. But, the point is two languages I don't understand that aren't the same. It's really what I was going for. And they're different languages than English, so that's how they're the same.
Right. I speak French, and I don't know any Portuguese, but they're both the Roman or Latin languages, right?
I think so. I'm not sure about Portuguese. I assume so.
Anyway, a conversation for a different day.
That's right.
What I would love to hear, and I want to give a shout out. Hi, Ron Joseph. And who else? Someone else commented. I'm getting so many comments on this side. But hi, everyone. Thank you. And yes, I'm happy I adopted the puppy too. She has hiccups right now. It's kind of funny. But anyway, Adam, I'm curious, what do you see is getting in the way of the hydrogen movement?
I think people just don't really understand how where does the electricity come from? Mm-hmm. And it's a fair question, because, I think we understand batteries fundamentally. We can, go off in a different room and produce a handful of AA's at any point. Like we know this technology. To get the hydrogen is the issue. And so, one of the ways that they're doing it is wind and solar. And then, another way is splitting water apart. So, and there's these, pieces of equipment called electrolyzers that do require a lot of energy. And so that's where the wind and solar comes in. It provides these electrolyzers with the free energy sources, and infinitely so, that they need to split these water molecules apart. And so you have H2O, split it to H2, goes into the fuel cell, electricity and water come out. Mm-hmm. So it's perfectly cyclical. But it's the electrolyzers that was always the barrier, because it's a high capital investment. And the reason that this time seems different to me is it seems like all globally, the businesses understand, yes, it is going to take a ton of cash. Let's all of us put it together so that not one entity is putting in so much. And there are these partnerships between companies that aren't, traditional, collaborators, that are getting together because of their footprint, because of their expertise and complementary skill sets, to say, all right, well, let's go in together on a project to fund an electrolyzer, initiative and things. And it's just so cool that the mission is important enough to partner with whoever they need to get this done. And so crossing that capital barrier, which is usually the barrier with anything, right? This cash outlay that seems to always be, to trip up great ideas. Companies are finally willing to take that step and to get over the line. And the cost, so the cost for the amount of hydrogen that would be equivalent to a gallon of gas, it was always, much more expensive. It's rapidly declining. And so, there's different projections, 2035, 2040, but in about 5 to 10 years, the cost should be similar.
First, folks, you heard it here.
I know. And even I have to kind of go, well, I've heard this before, but there haven't been these partnerships and this much momentum and excitement about it, and Paris agreements and things where people are just all on board. So it's just awesome.
Yeah. Carol Roberge wants you to know that she was just kidding. She loves your mission.
Okay, good.
And then LinkedIn user, for some reason you're not showing up with a name or a picture. So cool to see the commitment and collaboration where the money is flowing to this important initiative. Yeah, I agree. And it really, it underlines that when you prioritize your impact, when you prioritize your legacy, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to make money out of it.
Well, right. If you think about, how many combustion and carbon-based fuels there are, if we go all the way to hydrogen from that's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of people and a lot of hands to get there, and a lot of minds to get there, and partnerships. And so it's, we need academic research and universities to unlock different, efficient ways of doing this. How do you do it remotely? If you don't have a distributed infrastructure like hydrogen gas stations, how do you get this fuel to cabins in the woods and all over the place? These are important problems if you want a universal solution. And so it's really, academics partnering with industry and governments to regulate this and to encourage and motivate, and really to drive timing behind this. If there's no emissions changes, then there's no real incentive to do it now.
Right.
And so that's where, for me, those three pieces, academics, private sector and the government, can really, work together. Oftentimes they're conflicting in different ways, but this one feels like they're kind of able to move in the same direction to motivate people to do this as soon as possible.
Right. And now, well, my mind is going to, okay, cool. You have academics who may not know how to speak to this in the way that people understand. How can they do that? Oh, we have Adam right here.
Yeah, a lot of, and that's my first big content, I guess, was my master's thesis. And it was, I kind of took it as, there's a way to do this to get my master's degree. And then there's a way to do this to try to really lay out a mission. And of course I did the hard way, because I wanted it to take 6 years part-time, but it did. But it was, I wanted to make the case that was so clear that it was really irrefutable. And so the statistics around, and I can't cite them from memory, but just the emissions benefit and, the energy efficiency, all of the great things about it that just makes sense. The economic opportunity and the global impact it has. It just was, so that was the first big content piece that I wrote. And so I kind of wrote that in an academic style. And, sometimes people ask me, hey, can you write, a journal paper about this? And I have done that. One person asked me to write their thesis, which I won't do. Write your own thesis. I mean, I'll help you think through it, but I can't write a thesis.
Is that allowed? I don't think that's allowed.
No, I don't think it's allowed. You shouldn't. Don't ask people to write your thesis for you. That's not okay. And I think you learn a ton by doing it yourself. And I mean, you know, that's one of the best ways to learn about something that interests you, is just to commit to, all right, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do the research and commit to writing a paper, even if no one sees it. Just write something, and you know, you'll learn along the way. And so, yeah, I mean, the academic side does tend to be more theoretical. The words get way longer because academics like to speak on that level to each other, I guess. But the passion is still there, and it's so interesting to see. While motivations might be different, you know, general knowledge gain in academia, or, you know, commercial profitability, there's still the emotion behind it,
right?
And especially in alternative energy and hydrogen. And so it's, I mean, how could you not want to be a part of something that's that exciting and that so many people are fired up about?
Right.
I mean, that's really what did it for me. Man, people are serious about this. They're excited. I am too. I mean, it gets you jump out of bed ready to go.
Yeah. Well, so you're like bringing me back to the days when I sold solar, and it's like, you know, you'd go in, you do a consultation for a family, and you could actually save them, you know, between like $5 and $50 a month on their electricity bill. But it's funny, people actually really don't care about the money, because no one just signs up to have something attached to their house just to save money. They want to actually be attached emotionally to the mission that it's part of.
Well, yeah, and I think if you know that your decision and your, you know, actions and behavior patterns are contributing to making things better than they were yesterday, that, I don't know, that's something to be proud about. I think. I mean, I think about that too. It's, you know, every day we push for alternative energy and natural sources of electricity, we're getting closer to where we should be. This is the right way to go.
Yeah.
And, you know, the other side of it is just efficiency. I mean, you know, the hydrogen reactions aren't 100% efficient, but neither is combustion. I mean, even the best engines are 35 to 40% on a good day. You know, a lot of that's lost in, you know, taking the chemical energy that's inside gasoline and converting it to thermal energy before converting it to mechanical energy. We lose 30% every time you do that. So you're 30 to 40% efficiency, and then blow the rest as heat out the tailpipe.
Right.
The engineer in me, I mean, forget the climate piece. That's just inefficient. I can't accept 30%. You know, we have to do better than that, push to do better for that. And so that's the other part of it, is like there's this opportunity to really, you know, just maximize how much output we're getting out of what we're putting in.
Right. Right. I mean, Luna just got excited about that. Usually, like,
I mean, it just makes sense. You want to have the highest return on your investment. I mean, you do this with money that we spend. Why wouldn't we do it with energy inputs and energy outputs? So that's, I don't know, that's the way my brain thinks about it. But 30% is not gonna get it done.
No, absolutely not. So we're coming up on our half hour, but I just want to ask, if people want to get in touch with you about writing content, how do they do this? How do they do that?
Sure. So my, you know, I have a website, askconsultingsolutions.com, and I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there. You know, Adam S. Kimmel. You can find me. I'm on, you know, Facebook as well. So yeah, feel free, reach out. My website, there's a contact me list. Feel free to schedule a call. I mean, we can talk hydrogen. We can talk, you know, the other, you know, automotive, whatever, chemical processing, the other things I love to do. And yeah, just love to partner.
Okay, awesome. And then Sharon Sperry, I think it's Sharon, is saying, I'm so on board with what Adam's saying. Now tell me what I can be doing to support hydrogen and this movement. I added that bit. She said support this, but I'm assuming that's what she meant.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell how to support the movement anyway. Yeah, the movement is just educate and learn. Seek this information out, because, you know, as soon as you start reading about some of the initiatives, you know, there's a link to another about it, and you can see, I mean, look at what Europe is doing right now. Just search, you know, Google Europe hydrogen, and it'll just explode in wonderful things that are coming out. And so the more that you're educated, the more in your conversations and your interactions, you can help spread that around and educate those in your circles too. So the information's there. I mean, it isn't quite mainstream, so you do have to kind of search for it a little bit, but it's there. And when you find it, boy, it's exciting to read.
And I will say, because you share a lot of incredible content on LinkedIn, if you're not connected with Adam, go and connect with him right now. Oh my God, Luna, calm down. Hi. I know you want to. I know he's cool. Okay.
Luna can connect too.
I'll have to set her up a LinkedIn account.
Yeah.
Adam, anything else you want to leave me and our audience with today?
I mean, I guess I'll just share my personal mission and you know why I think it's important. I think any time that we spend away from our closest, you know, family and friends, I feel that we should spend helping as many people as we can. So in whatever way, you know, you feel like you're best suited, whatever your strengths are, whatever your gifts are, just share them with as many people as you can. I mean, that's what I love to do, and it's just it fills you up so much, and there's no reason to defer. Oh, I'll do that when I retire. I'll do that later. Just do it now. Do it as part of your daily, you know, journey and things, and it just edifies you and builds you up so much. So I can't encourage enough to just get it, go chase it, pursue it, and get it.
I want to yes all of that, and also when you're doing something that you're that on fire with, the universe collaborates with you to make you just as successful as you want to be.
Yeah, it really does. And your talk the other day about seeking joy and having then joy finds you as you pursue that. I mean, seek what lights you up, and you'll be lit up even brighter. I mean, it's it's sort of a momentum thing. The more you move in a direction, the less you have to work to get further down in that direction. So it's just really awesome to see.
It's almost like an energy fuel cell that gets things fed in and generates energy, and then it gets yeah.
I did it. You've got it. Mission accomplished.
All right. Well, I just had my smart moment for the night, so I think we should end it now.
We'll leave it there. All right. Thank you very much. It was great to chat.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me. Everyone, get in touch with Adam. I'm Katie McManus, business strategist and leadership coach, and this is my new assistant, Luna Lovegood McManus. I think, needs to go out, so we're gonna take her outside. Anyway, thank you again for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching and for commenting. If you have any questions, then feel free to get in touch with Adam after this. All right. Good night, everyone.
Take care.
Okay.